exploring the demonic regions of Mormonism, Masonry, the Knights Templar, and Dagobert's revenge. You have never heard anything like what you're going to be hearing in the next couple of moments. It's for real. I don't make up these people. And I'm going to take them on face to face. His name is Boyd Rice. Boyd, we've met face to face. I'm glad you're with me today. I'm anxious to talk to you. Now, Boyd, I've talked to you before as a representative of the Church of Satan, as a representative of your own group, Non, of a representative of what I consider to be Hitlerian resurrected fascism and all sorts of things, but I've never spoken to you as someone who claims to be a descendant of Jesus Christ. You're kidding, of course.
No, I've just discovered this researching my genealogy in the last few years.
Now, wait a minute. You, a Satanist, a descendant of Jesus Christ?
Mm-hmm.
You're just not a terribly confused man, are you?
No. I went back to visit the ancestral home of the Rice family, and I was given stacks of genealogical materials, and through that I discovered that the Rices came from the Plantagenets of England, who in turn came from the Angevins of France, and they go back through Godfrey de Bouillon, who was Grand Master of the Priory of Zion and created the Knights Templar, and back to Dagobert, Parsifal Lohengrin, and to Christ and King David.
Now, I can understand you're being descended from the Knights Templar. That I can understand, and for people who don't know who the Knights Templar are, we'll get into that. But they are the people credited with having originated the Black Mass, all kinds of secret, magical, occult societies. But Jesus Christ, and we're going to get to your compatriot there in a moment and find out a little bit about this genealogical record, but tell me, exactly how do you claim, other than this genealogy you gave us, to be descended from Jesus Christ? Start back at the beginning. Jesus. Where did it go from there?
Okay, well, Jesus didn't die on the cross, and, the Koran talks about this, and the Talmud talks about this. And the story is that Mary Magdalene came to France and had Christ's child, and that through him came Parsifal, Lohengrin, Dagobert, and virtually most of the royal families of all of Europe up to a certain point.
Now, Mary Magdalene, you're suggesting, was the consort of Jesus?
Yes.
Did they ever get married?
Yes, there was the marriage at Cana that's talked about in the Bible.
Oh.
Many people suggest that there's a lot of evidence in that to show that that was in fact Christ's wedding, because Christ was very concerned with food for the guests, and his mother was concerned with feeding the guests. And
you're not getting this from the Bible. Where are you getting this stuff?
I'm getting it from the Bible and a whole lot of other books. There's literally a genre of literature that has sprung up around this idea.
All right. People who have heard you on my show before are going to say, I remember Boyd. He's the Satanist. One of the head honchos in the Church of Satan. Just bring us up to date on that. Are you no longer claiming that affiliation?
Well, I'm no longer a spokesman for the Church of Satan. I've resigned as a spokesman. I'm not going to talk anymore in public about the Church of Satan's doctrine.
So what doctrine then do you talk about? Do you still consider yourself to be a Satanist?
Yes, I'll probably always consider myself a Satanist on some level, but I mean, if people really remember the programs with you, they'll remember me as a Gnostic and being into Abraxas, which is the balance between light and darkness. And I believe there's a lot in early Christianity that can be traced directly to Gnosticism, and there's a good many things that Christ said that sound like pure Hermetic Gnostic doctrine.
Now, we heard a little bit of your talent a moment ago. I'm not trying to speak negatively, but honestly, just a little bit that we heard, it's evil. I assume you've gotten worse?
No, it's not evil. I think I was trying to do what the function of religion is based on, which is to reestablish a balance and reciprocity between God and man, instinct and intellect, nature and civilization, the sacred and the profane, and I think hate is a human emotion, and it deserves to be a human emotion.
All right, we're going to get back to him in just a moment, and in just a moment we're going to talk to his compatriot in crime, Tracy Twyman. And if you think, this guy's out there, guess what? She's further. She's in the next galaxy. Don't go anywhere. You say, how can a man who claims to be a Satanist also claim to be a descendant of Jesus Christ? Well, you've only heard the thumbnail sketch of this? Wait till you hear it all. You say, why do I need to hear it? Because these are real people. This is real stuff. These are ideologies competing for the attention of your children. I mean, folks, this is what creates Columbines. This is what our kids feed into. You need to wake up. Some of you live in your quiet Christian ghetto. Well, you know what I try to do. I try to drag you, kicking and screaming out into the real world so that you understand what your children, your grandchildren are having to face. And I know it's not pleasant to listen to, and some of you may be inclined just to turn the radio off and walk away. But you know something, friend? This is what spiritual warfare is all about. And if you don't understand the enemy, you don't understand anything. Okay, Tracy. Tracy,
Yes,
what's a nice girl from Kansas City doing holding such abominable ideologies?
Well, gosh, I don't think they're abominable. I just think it's a different take on Jesus than we've been living with for all this time. I think it's a better take, basically, because it doesn't concentrate on the death of Jesus as being the important thing. The important thing is that he was the King of the Jews, and the idea that he didn't die on the cross and that he went on to, father a royal dynasty is just more uplifting and dynamic to me than the idea that he just died.
Okay, now, this is all tied in with a lot of things, and I guess what personally intrigues me is that I agree with some of what you say in terms of the interconnectedness between the Knights Templar, Freemasonry, Mormonism, Rosicrucianism, all of which I believe are of the devil and out of the pit of hell and of the same lie of Lucifer. And that's where we're going to part. But you do believe in the interconnectedness of all of this.
Yeah. It seems to me that King David and his descendants were into kind of both sides of things, and that just like Boyd was saying about the balance between the light and the dark, they seem to have been very much into that, and Jesus himself was. And then
Wait. I'll buy that with Solomon. There's no question about the fact that Solomon did get involved in some black magic with some of those funky wives that he married, but come on now, Jesus, that's a different story. You're making Jesus into a black magician.
I don't think so, just kind of a magician. I don't think it's necessarily black, but not just the Gospels that are in the Bible, but all the apocryphal Gospels paint a picture of Jesus as being a mystical person, and not just spouting off dogma.
Okay, out of the teachings of Jesus and his connection to this so-called royal house of France, out of that, where did we get? And give me a thumbnail sketch, because I know this is quite complicated. The Knights Templar, the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Mormons. How did all of this get interconnected? Explain to the people your take on it.
Well, my take is that Freemasonry came out of the Scottish royal house, and they're descendant from the Merovingians, which is the royal house of France that you're talking about, that came from Jesus. And Freemasonry, as far as I can tell, part of it was dedicated to these mysteries of Jesus Christ that supposedly aren't public, but have been passed along through his descendants.
And
so I believe,
the Holy Order mystical, the mystical Rosy Cross, the Rosicrucians, their tie into this?
Yeah, well, I think that their mysteries are basically the mysteries of Christ and the mysteries that have been passed down throughout the family.
Well, I agree with you that they are mysteries, and I agree with you they've been passed down. You see, that where we part ways in this is you keep injecting Jesus in this. You got all these occult people, all these magicians, all these satanic people, and you just stick Jesus right in the family tree.
Well, he is in the family tree. That's why. He's one of the links in the chain there. And you can't ignore him.
And Boyd claims to be descended from Jesus. Let me guess, you're the daughter of Mary Magdalene.
Me? No, in fact, I don't really know my lineage past, a couple hundred years. I'd like to know. I mean, maybe, but I don't know.
It doesn't bother you that a Satanist claims to be the descendant, Boyd over there, that a Satanist claims to be the descendant of Jesus?
Well, why is there a conflict there? I mean, anyone could be the descendant.
Why is there a conflict there? You can't be serious. Why is there a conflict? A Satanist who claims to be a descendant of Jesus?
There could be, like, Nazis who were the descendant of Jack Kennedy. I mean, I don't see why a person's descendant has to have the same ideology as they did.
Now, I've read your literature.
Yeah.
And your literature, I mean, you really have got everything involved here. The protocols of the elders of Zion, upon which modern hate movements have based their philosophy, from the Aryan nations to the Oklahoma City bombers. You drag in Nazism. You don't, you're right up there with the new guy in Austria. You don't think Hitler was such a bad guy?
Oh, I never said that. I just think he was an interesting guy, and I think he was definitely into this. His interest in the Holy Grail, and a lot of the other Nazis were interested in the Holy Grail. They must have known about this, so that's why I wrote about it.
And the Holy Grail is not the sort of King Arthurian thing that most people think it is. To you, the Holy Grail is what?
The bloodline of Christ. It's a misinterpretation of the French word for Holy Grail, which is Saint Graal. People translate it as Holy Grail. It really means royal blood. And if you read the Holy Grail stories, then it's very clear that that's what they're talking about, because they talk about how the Holy Grail was brought to France by Mary Magdalene and Joseph of Arimathea, and they talk about the Grail family guarding the Grail. And the Grail family consists of Lohengrin and Parzival and the Merovingians and all the royal families of Europe.
I mean, you get into everything in your magazine. You publish this magazine, Dagobah's Revenge. Does anybody actually buy this thing?
Lots of people buy it. There's lots of people that are very interested in this. Like you said, it's a cottage industry, and I think it's coming back big time. In fact, there was a movie out, Dogma, last year that gets into this whole subject. And
oh, yes,
Last of Christ.
Yes, I was on Politically Incorrect and debated the writer and the director of that film.
Oh?
Yeah, we went head-to-head on it. Now, that gets into the Gospel of Thomas and all this other stuff, the supposed apocryphal truths that we've all missed in the church because we didn't really, and the Catholic Church has hidden from us all these years. I got to get to a break here, but a couple of things.
Yeah.
A couple of quickies. The pentagram, you believe, is what? The pentagram that we associate with devil worship.
Well, actually, the pentagram was originally referred to as the Star of David, and it's the six-pointed star that's the Star of Jerusalem, and people often get those mixed up, but actually David used the five-pointed star.
According to you?
Well, a lot of people, it's known, actually. You can
do
look
you
it
believe
up.
it? Do you believe in population control?
Yeah, actually, that would be nice. Why is that? Why do you bring that up?
Well, because you talk about it in here. I mean, you resurrect some of these old Nazi theories. You got one picture here of a bulldozer bulldozing bodies with the caption, "Your kind will be exterminated."
Well, that was a little joke. Well, it's a
list. As a Christian, I don't think that's a joke, because I think that's exactly what people like you, with the help of the Antichrist, intend to do to us if you get the upper hand.
Well, maybe. You better look out.
All right. I really didn't expect her to say that.
I mean, what am I going to do? I'm one person. I can't.
Stay right there. I'm going to take a break. And she didn't seem particularly inclined to keep Christians alive. I guess we just don't serve any usefulness in your monarchistic society. Is that right, Tracy?
I never said anything about Christians. You just said that.
Well, you want to control the population, and you actually take a sort of eugenics, Hitlerian approach to breeding in master race. I mean, you do believe that?
I think that's the approach you would take. How else would you do it?
So you believe in selective breeding?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, why would you want to have a degenerate population? I mean, if you can avoid it, why not avoid it?
Well, it all depends, you see, who's in the position of saying who's degenerate.
Well,
somebody's got to make that choice. Hitler made those choices. Who's going to make those choices?
Well, whoever's in control of those things. I think that's happening to an extent anyway. It's normal.
It's normal.
Yeah, but that's not at all what the magazine is about.
But there are these Hitlerian overtones to it. There are these Nazi sympathies involved here.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I've read.
That's not at all what the magazine is about.
But there are these Hitlerian overtones to it. There are these Nazi sympathies involved here.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I've read your magazine. But let's get into it a little more deeply, okay?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure that people understand the theory yet, okay?
Sure.
Because it's so complicated. Okay. After David, there was Solomon.
Yeah.
And after Solomon, there was Jesus. And after Jesus, there was Dagobah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was this royal line. Now,
Dagobert wasn't the progenitor of the lion. It was King Merivale. And Merivale, there's this whole mythology about him that he was the spawn of a god and a fish. And obviously, it's common for people who have royal lines to claim that they're come from a god or something.
Okay, so you don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God?
Well, not in a sense that he was born of a virgin. No, I don't think that. Because I don't think that's even what the Gospels say. I mean, two of them start out with the genealogy of Joseph, and then they call Jesus the son of David.
You say that we're in a holy war, and you want to break all the rules, abolish all laws, and restore the royal house of David. Exactly what does that mean? You declare a holy war. You want some kind of libertarian, utopian fantasy?
Well, I just think that the dogma that we're living with now is preventing us from developing spiritually, and I don't think that that's what spiritualism is all about, and so, yes, I would like to abolish it.
But your idea is spiritualism, and in this magazine, you go into everything from sex magic, a la Aleister Crowley, who was a Satanist, and some other very strange stuff that I don't even want to talk about in public. I mean, you've got a strange way of restoring this spiritual royal house.
This is what I think was the original spiritual inclination of Jesus and the others.
Jesus taught sex magic.
Well, actually, there's some indications of that in the Gospels.
Boyd Rice, I assume that if she's looking for somebody to head up this royal family, since you're a descendant of Jesus Christ, you should be one of the people she's considering, right, Boyd?
I think she knows some people who are a bit more illustrious than me. I mean, I think there are probably millions of people in the world today who are descended from Christ or who are descended from the Plantagenets or William the Conqueror. You know, there are a lot of us out there. I know at least a half a dozen personally.
Yeah, and there's people who are actively seeking their thrones, who are the heads of the royal houses. They're the ones who are going to inherit the thrones if this happens.
You mean there are real people running around out there believing this theory that you have, and they are actually pretenders to this throne that you're talking about?
It's not just a few people. It's a lot of very important people. Most of the royal houses of Europe make this claim. They don't popularize it because this is the way the people react. But yeah, I mean,
Well, of course we react like this because we remember World War II, and we don't want to see somebody else with a philosophy of a master race coming out of black magic getting control of the world again.
The philosophy of monarchists is to serve. They're servants of the people. They don't want to be dictators. They want to be servants.
They can't be servants if they're bulldozing bodies. I mean, they can't be servants if they are dictating a eugenics philosophy of breeding a super race. That's not being a servant. That's being a totalitarian.
Well, maybe they won't. You know, that's not the goal of the descendants of Christ. That's something that I put in the magazine. It doesn't necessarily reflect their ideology.
Okay, but you understand it's really hard to get a handle on this because this stuff's a potpourri of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a witch's brew. You've got everything in here.
Well, I think
it's not. It's actually very cohesive because one thing leads logically to the next if you just follow it.
Actually, you know, I'm inclined to agree with you because I do believe in the interconnectedness of evil on a master conspiratorial scale, the likes of which we don't even begin to imagine. I will agree with you on that. I guess where we divide points is that when I look at Mormonism and Masonry and Aleister Crowley and the Knights Templar and the Illuminati, et cetera, I see it as all interconnected in the heart of hell. And you see it as the mystical lost teachings of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, you brought up the Gospel of Thomas and read the Gospel of Thomas. That's a very Gnostic alchemical text. These things that Christ was saying in there had more to do with Gnosticism and Hermetic alchemy than traditional Christianity, and I think that was the true philosophy of Christ. And I think if you go through the Gospels, you'll find echoes of that in there. It's just been lost because the Bible's been translated from Aramaic to Sumerian to Hebrew and Greek and Latin and then to English, and it's like it's Chinese whispers.
I understand the theory. You can't trust the Bible, but you can trust the apocryphal Gospel of Thomas. Now, come on. Come on, boy. This is the old satanic argument, but to deny the Bible is the Word of God. This is not new.
Well, but who came up with that idea in the first place? And why did we all buy it? It was the Catholic Church who came up with the idea that all those books that were written by different people at different times were the Word of God.
Well, the canonization of Scripture is a little more complex than a papal edict. Well, you have to grant me that. Tracy, I don't understand. I mean, this is like what you do with your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
How old are you, may I ask?
I'm 21.
You're 21?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't your mama concerned that you're not going to settle down with a nice boyfriend who's a stockbroker somewhere who can, help take care of a couple of kids and live behind a white picket fence?
Well, I don't think she ever wanted that for me. No, she's very proud of me, actually. She helps me with the magazine.
Whoa. Your mother's proud of you.
Yeah.
You've got naked pictures of the devil in your magazine in animal-human form with depicted in ways I cannot describe on a family program. You've got articles in here about black magic sex. Your mama helps you publish this?
Well, she helps me, with some technical matters.
Your mama's proud of you?
Yes, I've accomplished quite a bit, actually. I'm proliferating these ideas.
And your dad? And your dad? What's your dad think?
He's proud of me as well. That's not wrong.
This is what they raised you to be.
Well, they raised me to be a writer. They raised me to do what I want to do. I've always been a writer, and this is an idea that I latched onto, and I've managed to make a career out of it.
Why this fascination with what I call evil?
Well, I don't think I'm fascinated with evil. I don't know what you're talking about, really.
What about the Mormons who are listening out there? They've heard me for years talk about the tie-ins they have with everything from the Knights Templar to Freemasonry to secret occult magical societies. Now you're coming along and you're saying the same thing I'm saying. What do you say to those Mormons out there?
Well, I don't think that the run-of-the-mill Mormons know too much about the details of their religion, but they've been saying this for a long time. In fact, if you go to the LDS temple in Kansas City, you can see a genealogical chart. It's huge, and it traces all the royal houses of Europe back to Jesus through Mary Magdalene. So I don't know what to say to them, except they're pretty much on the right track there.
But you understand that the Stephen Coveys of this world, who won 7 highly effective habits to deceive people, really don't want you talking about this.
I have no idea who that person is. I'm sorry.
Stephen Covey is probably one of the most visible Mormons on the planet right now. He's the business consultant who talks to presidents and captains of industry and tells them the 7 most effective ways to manage their organizations, among some other garbage that he gives them. And he's a highly visible Mormon, and there's a lot of other highly visible Mormons. They would not want you talking about them in this light.
Well, so far they haven't done anything about it.
Now, Boyd, I guess I have a hard time getting a handle on all of this in terms of you claiming to be a descendant of Jesus Christ. That can only be possible if you don't believe he was the Son of God, if you don't believe in the virgin birth, if you don't believe that he was crucified, that he was just a mystical teacher and a powerful leader. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean,
then
you read a lot of the ancient texts, and this is what they say. The Talmud says Christ was a sorcerer.
Well, of course, the Talmud says something like that, because they're denying that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God. Of course, they're going to say that. I mean, you take the Bible, and you just say, well, this is a bunch of garbage. But then you take every occult Jewish source that you can find, every occult magical satanic source, every apocryphal Gnostic Hermetic source that you can find, and you say, oh, this stuff I believe, but you don't believe the Bible.
Well, I believe those sources because they weren't subject to the Council of Nicaea and the other councils. They weren't subject to mistranslations over centuries and centuries, and they weren't edited and censored severely. So I believe you can still find a lot of great truths in the Bible, but I believe these apocryphal books, they've been buried for a couple thousand years. Nobody's gotten at them. They were what people were saying at the time.
Okay. There were the Knights Templar. You buy the supposition that they were the founders of the Black Mass, of dark occultism, as we might call it?
They've been accused of that. I think they were just keeping the secret teachings of Christ, alive. And I believe they were treated as Satanists just because they were heretical, and they had to be suppressed by the Orthodox Church, by the Church of Rome.
And you believe that out of the Knights Templar came Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, Mormonism, all of this?
It seems like it, yeah.
They seem to say so.
Actually, this is where I agree with you. This is where I agree with you. Obviously, part ways. Do you understand when we part ways, Tracy?
I understand. You believe that everything in the Bible, as translated, is correct.
Now, this holy war that you're declaring.
Yes.
Who is this holy war directed against?
Well, against the Catholic Church and all the people that have been suppressing the truth for thousands of years.
And if you win this holy war, what are you going to do?
Well, they are going to reinstate divine right monarchy across Europe and across America, hopefully.
Do you know anything about Bible prophecy? Do you understand how distinctly this is linked to what evangelical Christians believe regarding the rise of the Antichrist? That you are, in fact, talking about the Antichrist?
Well, yeah, I can understand that interpretation of it. Sure, but I just don't think that that's the case here.
So if this revived Holy Roman Empire leader,
yeah,
who is going to declare a holy war and claim divine right, is not the Antichrist, then who is he?
The descendant of Christ. The rightful king of Jerusalem and therefore of the world.
All right, I'll get back to you in just a minute. I can see the wheels spinning in the heads of Christians out there. Tracy Twyman, who is the publisher of a magazine, Dagobert's Revenge, Music, Magic, and Monarchism, and Boyd Rice, who... exactly what are you, Boyd? Do you consider yourself a musician, a poet, an author, a filmmaker? You're just a little bit of a dabbler in everything that has to do with the devil. What do you call yourself, Boyd?
A dabbler, yeah. More of a Renaissance man than a dabbler.
Okay.
I do everything that interests me.
Well, everything that interests you is evil.
No, not necessarily. I mean, you perceive it as evil just as the early church perceived anybody who deviated from orthodoxy a little bit as being a Satanist, but, that isn't necessarily the case.
The Illuminati, does it exist?
I think it did at one time.
Do you think it still is a shadow government or movement today?
I think there are probably a number of shadow governments or movements today.
You'd like to find out and join them?
I don't know. I'm kind of a lone wolf. I'm really not a team player, an organization man, really.
Tracy, who would want to read your magazine? Who wants to read about tantric sex and, spiritual body parts and Hitler and taking over the world and killing off the less fortunate? Who in the world wants to read this?
Well, I think there's a large audience for it, actually. Anyone who's interested in any one of those subjects. And anyone who's interested in the secret history of Europe and of Western civilization would want to read it, because that's basically what it gets into.
Now, where do you think this all may possibly be headed? If this monarchy is restored, where do the two of you think it's going to go?
Where would it go? It would just be a different form of government, a different paradigm. And not really different because, we've been living with monarchy for a long time. It hasn't been eradicated, and we've only had representational government for a couple hundred years as opposed to hundreds of thousands of years of divine right kingship.
But it would not be a friendly world for fundamentalist Bible-believing Christians like me.
Well,
it would not be a friendly place for me.
I don't know. I mean, why would you be opposed to having...
Because I believe this is from Satan, the heart of the devil. This is Antichrist. This is evil. This is demons, Tracy. I spend my life casting out demons, Tracy. You and Boyd both have some. You need an exorcism. That's why.
Well, come on over. I guess I could use your help, really.
No, you come on over. You come on over. You get there, be there, and if you want them, I'll get them out of you, because you got them. Where did you get them? Where did you get them? Where'd you get these demons you got?
I don't know. I guess it just develops naturally. I've always had these inclinations. I'm a curious person, and I wanted to find out about how things work, the secrets of life, and I've discovered quite a few of them. And that's how this all started. That's where it's going.
Now, for the people who tuned in late, just to make sure there's no misunderstanding, the thumbnail sketch of your theory, Tracy, is what?
That the descendants of Christ and of King David are alive today, and that they have divine right to inherit the thrones of Europe.
The revival of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah, well, it's happening already. That's what the European unification is heading towards, I believe.
You sound like a Bible prophecy preacher.
Well,
you're saying exactly the same things that Bible prophecy preachers are saying.
Well, see, it's certainly possible that if these people have been keeping the secrets of Jesus for all these years, they're making these prophecies come true.
But
they're doing this on purpose.
But what if? What if, boy, these are not the secrets of Jesus? But the true pretender to the throne is Lucifer, and in fact, this entire cabal of Kabbalism, the Illuminati, Freemasonry, Mormonism, Rosicrucianism, and this belief in the restoration of the Holy Roman Empire is all part of a satanic master plan, and how convenient to tie it into the lineage of Jesus. What if, Boyd?
Well, I believe there is a Luciferian aspect to the Grail, and that I believe when it finally comes out, it will be beneficial to man. It will help man evolve. It will help him get past this 2,000 years of the bastardized and misunderstood teachings of Christ.
Oh, do you know how scary you sound when you say that? You say it so calmly and confidently. Do you realize that you are literally speaking the words of the devil? You're laughing at me, Tracy. He's speaking the words of the devil.
Well, do you realize that the inheritors of those thrones are on something called the Council of Princes, which is actually a part of the EEC over there?
True.
They're part of the government of Europe.
Whoa, run that one by me again. Run that one by me again. What?
Well, there's an advisory committee to European Parliament called the Council of Princes. There's 33 princes on it. Prince Michael of Albany is the head of it. He's the claimant to the Scottish throne, and he wrote along two books actually on his Grail descent and the Grail family, and all the members of the Council of Princes are of the Grail family.
And this is an advisory group to the European Economic Community?
Yes, sir. See,
do you know how scary? You know how scary that sounds to me, and in terms of how very near we are to the Antichrist taking over. I mean, you're just basically describing how it's going to happen.
Well, someone has to tell you. Apparently, you're not aware of it. Apparently, you're not aware that this is the agenda of hundreds of powerful people.
And the agenda is what?
The restoration of the House of David.
What they call the House of David.
Yeah.
And what's really scary, Boyd, is that there are Satanists like... I mean, this sounds absurd, folks. Satanists like you who claim to be part of that lineage and have royal blood flowing from Christ through your veins. Do you understand how scary that is?
I think it's rather poetic. I think I'm a balance between those two things we've discussed so many times. You know, I've always known it, I've always felt it, and now, I have the proof that I am.
What if you're deceived?
Deceived?
What if you're deceived?
By whom?
The devil. The devil. And what if you were deceived by the devil?
I don't know. I think the devil would have a lot more things to do than just deceive Boyd Rice sitting here in my basement in Denver, Colorado.
I'm not even going to get to my last break, because you guys have thrown a couple of bombshells at the end. I didn't even get to my last break. I've got less than a minute. Any more bombshells?
There's too many. There's too many to fit in here. Sorry.
Try one. One more bombshell.
Well, here, I think that the descendants of King David are also the descendants of space aliens. That's where the bloodline came from. That's the god.
Oh, you had to wait till the last minute to tell me this.
Sorry, man. You didn't give me a chance.
The descendants of King David are space aliens.
Well, descendants of space aliens.
Jesus was the result of some alien impregnation way back when?
Yeah, actually, this is something that comes up again and again in the Grail lore, and that some members of the Grail family today have been quite outspoken about. for instance, Prince Michael.
Boyd, 30 seconds. Do you have any last-minute thoughts?
Just that I've been studying the history of Europe, and the people that you call occultists and heretics are the people who've created Western civilization. They've given birth to medicine, science, engineering, architecture. They created the Renaissance, and most of them are members of the Grail family.
The people who created all that were Bible-believing Christians who believed there was order to the universe because there was a God who was there and made it, and I'm out of time. I thank you both for being with me today. Folks, I'm out of time. I had to skip the last break. My apologies. But boy, I had a couple of bombshells laid on me, and you needed to hear it. Now, the last day. Your gift of $50 will bring you Devil-Proofing Prayers, the video, 6 Centuries of Evil, the video, and the book Every Good and Evil Angel. Another $50 will bring you the video Tribulation. Don't miss the chance to get it. You put it off and put it off. Now, go get it today.